are going to talk to Phil. Phil was trying to call in last week and could not. But Phil, I am glad that we waited till this week because I think Smiles is a better guess for your particular subject. Phil, you're live on Truth Wanted. What's going on?
Hey, guys. Hey, Dan. Smiles, I love the show. You have brought up so many interesting things. And Smiles, you are the Forrest J. Ackerman of weird.
Thank you.
You saved that collection. You know who Forrest J. Ackerman is, right?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
I don't know who that is. I do feel a little left out. I'm not going to lie. Is this because I'm a millennial?
I'm sorry. He collected all kinds of sci-fi stuff from Hollywood.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Anyway, you're doing a great show. You brought up so many. I want to talk about aliens and their possible or not possible existence.
Okay, go for it.
It bothers me just a tiny bit when skeptics and critical thinkers say there must be other alien life out there, because we only have one data point for abiogenesis. Now, in 50 years, kids may be building amoebas at home. But I think must, never, can't, always are not good science words.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
When people say there must be other alien life out there. Well, I've tried to do a little research in this. Apparently, main sequence stars only came into existence 1 to 2 to 3 billion years after the Big Bang. And let's assume that there was one original intelligent race, and they would have gotten their squid calculators or their praying mantis calculators out and looked at that number of stars and said, with all those stars out there, there must be other intelligent life. And they would have been totally wrong. Right?
Yeah, I mean, there's different hypotheses as to why. There's a name for this phenomenon, Smiles, and the name escapes me. You must know the name of this. You of all people must know what I'm talking about. But I think it's not the Drake equation, but it is this idea that it's almost improbable.
The Fermi paradox.
Fermi paradox. That's what I'm looking for. Yes, the Fermi paradox. This idea that it's like so statistically unlikely that we are the only we're the only intelligent life out there, that they're just, it's just a statistical improbability. There has to be other life. And I am not smart enough to even verify the ins and outs of something like that. I just, I just know of it as a thing. So I too feel when people are very sure about life outside, but also sure about not being intelligent life out there, I'm skeptical either way. I really don't know. I don't have enough to say. It seems to me more likely than not that there is other intelligent life out there. I think that I've said that before. I think that's kind of my take right now. But as far as human beings encountering intelligent life, and even if it's possible, I don't even think that's true at this point. Until we have a really new understanding of how physics works, it doesn't seem like we could even get to somewhere else where we could even make that kind of contact. But I don't know Smiles' take on this. Smiles, I think, well, maybe I know your take on this. I don't know.
It's the phrase, if there's nobody else out there, it's an incredible waste of space. I certainly, obviously, I don't know whether there is any extraterrestrial life.
We also don't know. We don't know how long intelligent civilizations may survive, because we're in plenty of trouble right now. The lifespan of an intelligent civilization may only be a couple thousand years.
Yeah, it could be until they nuke themselves, right? Yeah, that's something that people talk about too. So who knows?
Create a virus or blow themselves up. So we have so few data points to go off of. It's really hard to say there must be. There probably is, but there doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But I think Smiles didn't get to finish his take as well. So I want Smiles to finish, because what do you think?
I hope there are. I mean, I don't get into doing equations on the probability of extraterrestrial life. As I said earlier, I grew up firmly believing that the UFO phenomena that I was seeing reported was evidence of that. And growing up, on large doses of science fiction, it's an idea that's been instilled in me. And I certainly want it to be true, and I certainly think there's some value in speculating and trying to calculate that sort of thing. But yeah, to me, the argument that's frustrated me the most is this, it would take too long to get here. And I just think that that's just not being imaginative enough. And we're still stuck in thinking about, again, like trying to imagine other life. We have only ourselves to look at, but other intelligent type of creatures have evolved here and continue to live here, and we're learning every day new ways that they communicate and transmit information and educate their next generation. And so with us as an example, yes, they're gonna, some other species is gonna blow itself up. Well, maybe not. Maybe the other species out there wouldn't be as warlike and fractious as us. But I agree. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know, and I'm skeptical of anybody that says one way or the other on this. Like I said, for sure.
Exactly. That's kind of my point. Is it kind of grinds my gears when people insist that there must be other life out there. And Smiles, I'm like you. I'm an old guy. I'm older than you, and I grew up on Star Trek and Outer Limits and Invaders and all those great sci-fi movies from the 50s. And I want there to be other intelligent life out there, but I try not to let that desire cloud my judgment.
Yeah. I want there to be more intelligent life on Earth first before we get anywhere else. That's just me. Phil, thanks for calling in with
you, Phil.
Your call. Appreciate it. And hope you have a good one.
Thanks for taking my.
Yeah, for sure. People have personal encounters that they can't explain, and I may have an explanation for them, but when you experience it yourself, it's kind of it's hard to be that person that doesn't believe them. But that's kind of where I'm at, as far as encountering intelligent life, right? Which I know wasn't quite the question, but it's I'm not at a point where I can believe anybody that says that they've met aliens at this point.
Yeah, no, and that's something that I've had to deal with, being enmeshed in this in the UFO community, back. I got involved in the local Mutual UFO Network MUFON chapter here in Austin right out of high school. I started my first job at the city public library, and I was in charge of processing periodicals. And one of the periodicals that our local library subscribed to was the MUFON Journal, their monthly journal. And so and then as I'm looking, I'm like, wow, there's a local chapter here, and they have meetings. And the first meeting I went to happened to be at a Bill Miller barbecue. So we were talking about cattle mutilations in the middle of a barbecue restaurant. But around the same time, a few years later in 1992, was when a local experiencer founded an abductee support group. And because she had experiences, and she wanted to find other people who'd had experiences and talk about them. And this was at the beginnings of the height of the abduction mania of the 1990s, and on the heels of the two top best-selling books, Bud Hopkins' book and Whitley Strieber's books, and it was getting a lot of attention. And a lot of people were coming to these first meetings, but that was the uncomfortable thing for me as somebody who entertained a variety of interpretations for these experiences. And who am I to say what this person really experienced? Was listening to these experiences, and at some point I was asked to take on leadership of this organization, not because I'd had any experience, but because they respected my open-mindedness.
Sure.
And so what we were faced with is,
I imagine it wasn't a big group either. I imagine. Well, maybe.
Yeah, no. At its height, I would say we were meeting twice a month at local public libraries. It was open to the public, and there was I'd say 15 to 20 people per meeting, but then it slowly wound down to a core group of 5 or 10 people, and similarly with the MUFON meeting. So there was the MUFON monthly meetings, and then there were the abductee monthly meetings. And at some point, the names changed due to not political correctness, but just terminology discussions that were being had at the time. So we changed from abductee support group to UFO experiencer support group, and then we became like a support and study group, and went through several permutations. But it lasted for about 6 years, and then the founder came back and took back the reins, and then she dissolved the organization, or the group. But the point I was going to get to is just that, yeah, it's very challenging to, hear people telling you these very deeply affecting experiences. It's just like somebody telling you, they saw God or an angel or a demon, and sometimes they weren't sure. Maybe that's what, and they would be like, I don't know what that is.
I never like being that guy, even though it's like in my head, I am that guy. And sometimes I'm that guy on this show, but it's like, hey, like if you want to ask me what I think, that's what it is.